everybody. Welcome to Hey, We're Talking. So glad you're here. It's me, Scotty D. Got Bob Peel and Derek Tant. Hey, fellas.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh,
hi, Mark.
it's good to see you guys. We need a
My
mark on
toes
the
are a
show.
little numb right now.
Why would you do to it?
It's cold in this room here.
Oh, okay.
And I'm wearing dress socks. I've got dress pants stuff on still from work. So
Yeah.
my toes are getting a little bit cold.
Oh, we'll try and hurry it up. We'll try and keep you warm. We'll do our best.
Just
need
warm
like
up
a-
my big toe on my
You need a
right
space
foot.
heater.
I got a heater back here, but
It's
it's just
not kicking out enough heat, apparently.
no. I try to keep it just so it stays like above 50 degrees
Right.
in this room.
Right. You don't want
No.
it to be like, hey, it's a toasty 77 in my garage.
Exactly. I
Right.
don't want to waste that much energy.
Hey, by the way, what do you guys? I'm sorry to just kind of go completely random here, but what do you set the thermostat at in the winter in your households, Derek? What do you keep it around?
69, 70.
Okay, Bob, what do you guys keep it at?
Mine's 67 all year round.
Get out of town.
No, for real.
67?
I can't keep it that cool during the summertime.
No. I don't think you have air in your house, Bob, or do you have
I
window
have-
units?
2 window units.
Yeah, so that's why he's not setting his. It's not like central air, but your
No.
heat you're keeping at 67 degrees in the winter.
Yeah.
How are people
so-
not like crying and begging Dad, please turn up the heat?
Put socks on. We got tons of blankets. We do. I mean, everybody's always got a blanket. So
They're all
we got
bundled up.
yeah, wearing hoodies. Whatever.
I've been turning it down to like 68 at night, but I keep it around 70 while we're up and around, and I've been freezing to death. I'm just not used to this yet. It's too
No,
cold.
it takes. When you got to remember, I've been in this climate my whole life.
Yeah,
To
and
where
you're cheap.
we've got 7 months of cold weather.
You like
so
to save money,
it's-
so you keep it at 67.
That too.
My
That
dad,
helps out.
my dad, one time, I think he said he turns it down to like 65 at night when they go to bed, and I'm like, "Are you insane?
All you're
You're
doing
gonna
is
freeze to
sleeping.
death."
No, that's what you get blankets for.
Oh my gosh, too
Derek,
cold.
nobody can freeze to death at 64
No,
degrees,
but
right?
it's
I mean,
cold.
medically, I mean, you're a
You can
doctor.
get leg
You'll know.
cramps. You get leg cramps easier if it's too cold.
We turn on the electric blanket at night in our, that's nice. But I sleep during the day, so it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Okay. All
We
right.
do have
Just
blankets in the house, but this is Texas, so it doesn't really get that cold anyway.
Texas
what's cold-
forever.
What's cold to us would be laughable to the likes of you guys. So I don't even want to. I don't even want to mess
Let's
with
not
it.
go
I don't
there.
even want to.
Yeah, we'll be in single digits.
I
What do
just-
you mean? It's 77 degrees outside right now. It's
Yeah.
snowing.
You're right.
It's like,
I
so I'm like,
I thought I'd start the show off with something less controversial than the thing that we were going to talk about. Although some people think it's controversial, some people don't. There was and this is like over a week ago now that this came out, so it's not like this is timely information. But Gillette put out this ad about toxic masculinity, and it's about a 1:49 ad. It's like almost more like a short. It's not really a commercial. I'm sure they'll trim it down for the Super Bowl, but it was interesting. I'd love to know, your guys' thoughts. We've kind of bounced back and forth. Derek kind of gave me crap on Foxer for it already, but Bob, let's start with you because I already kind of know what Derek thinks. Bob, what do you think of it? What did you think of the ad?
To me, I watched the ad, and it reminded me of something else that I watched, a YouTube video or something, and I'll get to that part in a second. But I watched the ad, and I saw a lot of topics brought up that the society is dealing with today.
Sure.
Which now I'll bring you to the second part, which I may or may not have mentioned on this show before, is I watched a video a while back on YouTube or somewhere where a black person was being harassed on a train by some white drunk person.
Is this real? Like real?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is real.
Okay.
And so, they kind of show the video and the story and basically of this video I watched, the whole purpose of it was be the first.
Okay.
Because nobody stepped up for this lady for a long time who was being harassed. And then finally somebody stepped up and said, hey,
It was a black
enough.
female?
Somebody stepped stepped up to support the black female
Right.
and said, "Hey, what are you doing to this person? Leave this person alone. Stop being racist. This and that." So the whole idea of that story was be the first person to step up and take a stand against something wrong.
Yeah.
And to me, I look at this Gillette thing the same way.
Okay.
It's showing things that are occurring in society today, bullying, racism, whatever else, abuse, all of that stuff. So to me, my takeaway from the Gillette ad was be a man and step up and kind of be the first to talk against it, to stop it in a situation, all of that stuff. So to me, I didn't find it extremely offensive. I looked at it realistically like, yeah, these are real issues where people are dealing with.
Okay. Derek, what did you think about it? I think let me describe a couple of the pieces before you say something. So kind of the beginning of the ad is you're hearing, and I don't think it's actual news clips, but they're talking about the Me Too movement and people being exposed for sexual harassment and stuff like that at the beginning. And then it kind of moves into a couple different topics like bullying. There's a kid being chased by a bunch of other kids, picking on him, calling him, names and stuff like that. There's two boys wrestling in the yard. There's a couple of scenes where guys are kind of like either, they're objectifying women or saying, stuff
woman
like that,
or whatever.
Okay, and then it proceeds from there. So, Derek, go ahead. Tell us what your thoughts were on this.
Well, it's obviously very timely, and it's taking the stance against all these things: harassment of women, racism, sexism, homophobia, all that stuff. And I think a lot of people's issue is the labeling of it being called toxic masculinity or whatever. But my take is that these have been problems with humanity for a very, very long time. And I'm glad we're at least starting to put it out, put it up front there, but I don't really know why there's, I guess there's backlash. Is there backlash?
Yeah.
I haven't really been.
Somewhat.
Yeah. If you look it up right now, the likes versus dislikes on it are actually kind of laughable.
But why? But why? Why would, if it's putting it out there as, a stance against, racism, sexism, harassment of women. Why would you not, unless you're for racism, unless you're for sexism, why would you be against that? Is what
I don't think that they actually tackle racism in it so much, but I understand why you guys would feel that way. It has 475,000 thumbs up, 912,000 thumbs down. The video does on YouTube right now.
So what is the best? So why is it? Because I saw it the one time, and is it because they're calling it toxic masculinity? Is it because they're aiming at the problem is just like white guys? That's what was that where
there is some stuff like that. Yeah, I watched a couple of things like Joe Rogan talked at length about it with one of his guests. I think one of the things that a lot of people have trouble with is there's definitely, and I don't know, how connected you guys are to hearing stuff like this, but there's definitely a swing toward white men being this huge problem in society in general, and that's where the whole toxic masculinity thing came from. In the Gillette ad, I think someone counted 47 of the people that do bad things. 42 of them are white guys, and 5 of them are people of different color. And then there's the people that end up stopping guys from doing bad things or helping people. There's 7 people that show up in the ad that do that, and 5 of them are African American men, and 2 of them are white guys. So people are kind of like, okay, again, I don't think, you can go full conspiracy theory on this stuff and say, wow, Gillette's really pushing an agenda, which I believe they are. But the truth is, Gillette made this ad knowing that it was going to stir things in people, and it was
they were okay with it.
Yeah, and they were going to get Gillette out there. I mean, how much more can you get here? They're all over the news when this thing came out. So it's a good marketing campaign. It's the same thing that happened with Colin Kaepernick when Nike made those ads with Colin Kaepernick. Right. I mean, Nike was all over the news because Colin Kaepernick's a controversial figure. So using the term toxic masculinity, I think, was very well thought out. And then the thing that a lot of people have trouble with, Adam Carolla talked about this on his show as well, the boys will be boys thing. That's another thing that people were like, here's my take. When I watched it, I don't think there's anything wrong with what they're saying about, we don't want these things to be happening. I completely agree. There's no way I would disagree. Why? But my thing is, for me, as I watched it, I'm sitting here thinking, I don't know any guys like this. How many men do you know who act this way, who behave this way? Are they out there? Of course they are. But is it this massive, huge problem that there's so many men doing this that we're painting the entire male race with this brush? That's where people have a problem.
Yeah, but in a sense, to me, I hear you, Scott, personally, and or many other people saying, "Oh, you're being too sensitive. Why are they being so sensitive about this? About this?"
Yeah,
I think people are looking too deep into it and trying to find things to complain about the ad.
But I would I'll tell you though, Bob, a lot of this, the reason people are reacting the way they are is because there definitely is this. The Me Too movement, that was when that thing happened and, things were coming out about women being sexually molested or raped or, just whatever. It was a good thing. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that stuff being brought to light. But then all of a sudden, it was every single woman that came out and said that somebody did something. The guy was automatically guilty no matter what.
That is a problem.
And so this is another thing that we're bombarded with, this idea that men are this, we're supposedly these terrible people. We get painted with a very broad brush in media and stuff like that. So I think that's why people reacted the way they did. If you listen to Joe Rogan, that's his main thing. Adam Carolla, same thing. They were both just like, what is this attack on all men around the world? And I think the thing that a lot of the people that have struggled with this too is there's this idea that somehow men and women are exactly the same. Like they want us to believe that there are no differences between the sexes. For instance, when I look at those boys in the thing and they're rolling around on the ground, kind of like, I don't know if the one kid is beating the crap out of the kid or not, but when boys get together, little boys, they're going to get rough and tumble.
Yeah, that's what they do.
That's what boys will do, and that's why when
girls are off playing with dolls and things of that nature.
But see, for you to say that, people would be very offended that we would believe such a thing. They think that should not be the case, and that's part of the reason that people get so upset about this ad, is when people say, we've got to stop saying things like boys will be boys. No, we don't. Because it just happens. If you put boys in a room and girls in a room and you put toys that boys would traditionally play with and toys that girls will traditionally play with, they just do it. They don't think about it. They just do it.
And I think what they were saying by that was boys will be boys. See, that's a tough one.
It is because they're trying to make that into a negative thing. And I think the other thing for me was when they have this, when they say that boys,
or they're trying to say don't use that as an excuse,
right? And that's totally fine.
Just because I'm a guy doesn't mean I can go around objectifying women.
Right?
I can't just go hit on a chick because because I'm a guy.
And I think
I think that's kind of what they were getting at.
I think all three of us, if we saw somebody doing something like that, if we were in any one of these situations, you can bet your butt, even though I'm not able to probably kick anybody's butt, if I saw some person mistreating or doing something mean to a woman, or a bunch of kids trying to attack another kid that was defenseless, you can bet your behind my butt would be saying something immediately. So it's hard for me to fathom, just like you're saying, who will be first, that thing you watched.
Right.
It's hard for my mind to comprehend that there are people who would let things like that go. Now, I know I'm not stupid and don't think that doesn't happen, but it's hard for me to sit here and believe that happens on a regular basis. But I'm sure it does. It's hard for my mind to comprehend. Derek, I'm sorry, I've talked a lot. Go ahead.
Maybe I think a lot of people might say, it's like this movement and all these things they're trying to say that white men are terrible. I'm like, no, terrible people are terrible.
Yeah.
All right. But there are a lot of, some of these, a lot of the people and a lot of the, a lot of racism and bullying and harassment of women. A lot of it is going to be and has been perpetrated by white guys. No,
where do you get those stats from?
Not us. But,
like, what makes you think that's the truth?
But you're trying to. It's like trying to deny that has happened.
No, I'm not. No, it is obvious it's true, but you're saying that only white guys have perpetrated this stuff, that's crazy.
I did not say that. I did not say that only. I said terrible people do that. I said a lot of it has been done by
Why is it
guys.
A lot of white guys? Why is it a lot of it is done by white guys? Just because there's more white guys?
And a lot of it has been done by everybody. Terrible people are terrible.
Can people just be bad people and we don't have to care what color they are?
It's not in today's society.
That's the thing. The thing with this is that sexism, bullying, racism, it's all bad.
Yeah.
Regardless of who commits it.
Agreement.
Regardless of, the history of humanity, the history of the United States, a lot of it, yes, has been perpetuated by white guys. But it doesn't matter.
You keep bringing that up.
It doesn't matter who does it. It needs to stop. So maybe a lot of people who object to these ads are, they're going to say, well, a lot of the perpetrators are white people. It's like, okay, but the point is that it's all bad, regardless of who's playing these roles in this commercial. So let's just kind of leave it at that.
Yeah,
Don't get so upset.
I'm not upset.
You're really upset, Scott.
No,
I was just trying. I guess for me, I was just trying not to look into that deep into it. Just look at what they were trying to say. So if they ran an ad that gave you the same context without anything visual, you would agree, hey, there is a problem. There is a problem in today's society.
I wouldn't like the words toxic masculinity or the boys will be boys thing. I think those are trigger words.
Yeah, to me, I just didn't find it extremely offensive.
No, I'm not offended.
I just look at it, like I said, going back to the beginning, and I kind of live like this every single day, whether it's an argument between people, whether it's a racist thing, whether it's bullying, whether it's, helping an old lady, get her groceries out of the cart and everybody's just kind of watching her struggle. Everything that you could see, you could apply it to.
Sure.
To me, I just go, be the first. And I live by that every single day.
Person.
Well, it's just, I'm going to be the first person to step up when I see that mama 3 struggling to get the kids in the car and hold the cart and get things.
She might get mad at you though. If she's a feminist, she'll be upset if you try to help her.
And then you know what? I've had one old lady who I offered to put her cases of water in the cart or in her trunk.
Uh-huh.
That as soon as I asked her if she needed help, she started screaming at me.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's one time out of 50.
I know.
So even if that woman did scream and yell at me or whatever, that's fine. I just offered to help. So
agree.
that's, to me, that's what I live by every single day. Even if something stupid is somebody didn't push a shopping cart all the way back into that little corral, and you see it start to ease its way out and start rolling towards another
grab that
car.
one, make sure you stop it.
I'm going to be that person to grab that. I'm going to be the
Gillette,
first
there's
to
your
grab
ad.
it and push it back.
Gillette, there's your ad.
It should be their ad.
You could have had Bob grabbing a cart before it hit another car.
Because the people who leave their shopping carts in the parking
Those are the
lot,
ones that need
those are the real monsters.
They
right?
are. They are.
Don't just keep pushing your shopping cart into the corral when there's no room. Find a different corral.
No, you put it on the side. You just make sure it's kind of hooked onto the bit so that it won't roll away.
Or put it in the middle of the sidewalk so the veteran who's in a wheelchair can't get down the sidewalk.
I didn't say put it by the handicap spot or anything like that.
No, a lot of people here don't even return it
just leave it
to the cart return. They just leave it right in the parking spot.
That's why I don't know if you guys see this where you live, but there's like people every time I go to the grocery store, there's 2 or 3 people with those little machines going around collecting every single one of them all over the place. Yeah. Okay. So all that being said, we're going a little bit over time, but that's okay. All that being said, the Gillette ad, I can understand why some people, especially you guys know that I'm tied into the political stuff, so I watch some of the things that people say on TV, on CNN and stuff like that, and they routinely on CNN will say white guys are the problem. Don Lemon actually said, one of their main anchors on CNN, who has a show in the evening, said that white men are the problem in America. They are terrorists. So when you hear things like that from people, you go, man, what the heck? Can't there just be bad people? But
even that is kind of an out of the, it's kind of like an out of the place.
It's not
thing.
though. In mainstream media, it's not. That's what's disturbing. I think that's why some people got upset about the ad.
But that is the media. That is the media.
It is.
And I think we've already talked about that. The media, the news media, they're going to play things up.
Oh, sure.
Put them out of proportion.
Yeah.
But I think the bottom line with the Gillette ad is that, it's like people are going to be like, well, I agree with the message, but I don't like that, it's all a bunch of white guys that are all the bad guys. Well, I agree with the message, but I don't like that toxic masculinity is the word that they use. Well, I agree with the message, but when people react like that and they put all their butts on there. Of course, bullying and sexism and racism is bad, but I don't like the way that it kind of, it makes, your objections to that kind of might make people think that you don't really agree with the message. You know what I'm trying to say?
So you're saying you don't think I agree with the message?
Oh, I know.
These are all the things that I just said, but yeah, go ahead. I mean, it's okay if you think I don't, but I do.
No, I know you do, Scott. I know you do, Scott. But I think the overall, the resounding objections to the ad by people in large could be perceived as these are the people that don't really, these are the people that support racism and sexism, even though some of them don't.
Yeah, but I would say like even the 2 people that I mentioned, Joe Rogan and Adam Carolla, those guys are considered, they're not conservatives by any stretch of the imagination. Joe Rogan especially, they're both considered like people that are very, non-racist people and stuff like that, and it struck them. I think it's because here's the truth. For me, I think what it really boils down to, and this works both ways, is we got to stop taking these extreme views on everything. So like when you hear someone say toxic masculinity, to me, that's an extreme view of a problem. You could just say, look, there are people that aren't nice, that aren't kind people, that aren't good people. We don't have to label an entire, when you say toxic masculinity, it sounds like something, to me, again, maybe I'm too sensitive to this, but to me, it sounds like something that you're saying all men are basically, they have the ability to be toxic, is what it sounds like to me.
You're saying that masculinity itself is toxic.
Yes.
But I think that is also a misrepresentation. It's not saying that masculinity is bad. It's that masculinity, when it is ramped up to an extreme degree, there's the ability,
there's an ability for it to become toxic.
Yeah, it becomes toxic when you're harassing women and bullying, etc. But I agree. Humanity is toxic. People are toxic. It's not just masculinity. It's people of all walks all over the world.
And I think Derek and I probably have a little bit of a different view on it. Just our own personal views without any persuasion from anybody else. Being the fact that we don't watch political shows. We don't watch, we're not in tune with the political side, the media side of it. So there's been no persuasion on our end of, oh, this was good or this was bad or anything like that. So I think from mine and Derek's perspective, Derek, correct me if I'm wrong, of course, we're just seeing it from, are we personally offended by this? Is this something that offends us without hearing what everybody else thinks about it? So I think who knows? Maybe if I started watching, all these different things and getting different perspectives and falling into what others say, they'd persuade me in a different way. But myself, my own opinion, without persuasion of anybody else, it doesn't offend me. But I'm also not a person who abuses my wife, who hits women, who is constantly objectifying women, who, all of that stuff. So I don't do that stuff. So that may be a reason why I'm not so offended by it either.
Right. One of the other things, I'm sorry, I just have to mention this because I thought of it. In that ad that was interesting to me was all the men sitting behind their barbecue grills saying, boys will be boys, boys will be boys, and all this kind of stuff. And one of the things that struck me by that is you've got these two boys wrestling in the yard and these guys standing behind their grills or whatever. And I thought to myself, truthfully, if the dad is around, that kid has a lot better chance of not being a total idiot. We have a much bigger problem of dads not being around. I just found that visual very interesting.
Statistically, that's true.
Yeah.
Statistically, there's tons of research on that.
Yeah.
When a father is present in a child's life, they succeed at things a lot more. There's a higher graduation rate.
Yep.
There's a higher college rate. There's there's all these things. There's no doubt. There's tons of statistics. And obviously there are people
that get past that. There's tons of people throughout history who haven't had a father and have done great things. But you are better off with dad in your life. Mom and a dad, really. But you're more likely not to have your dad around than you are not to have your mom around.
You need the tough and gruff and leadership that a father typically presents.
Yep.
And you need that loving, caring side that a mother typically presents.
Yeah.
And some people are offended by that. But when you have the two combined, you typically create somebody or have somebody who understands the emotional side of things and understands the tough side of things, as in, being tough and being a man.
Well-rounded, right?
Yeah. So, every statistic, nobody can really argue that at this point, even though people will.
Yeah.
All statistics show that having a man and a woman around for a child is better off for that child.
So I think you guys, just by what you just said, at least, Bob, that's one of the things that I think people are looking at, some of these things that they're seeing with the toxic masculinity and things like that, where they're saying, wait a minute, there are good things about masculinity. There are good things about femininity. There are good things about both genders.
And they showed a bunch of stuff in that video that if a man does those things, they make it toxic.
Yeah.
That was the point.
Okay.
So that's why I'm not offended by that toxic masculinity, because, for me, that's a tough word to say. Obviously.
It's tough for everybody when you have to say it.
It's not something that, to me, that was offensive. It's, yes, if you are a man who does these things, now you're toxic.
Okay.
So,
Man,
this
we
is something
can
we can
talk
go
about
on
this forever.
forever.
Derek
and
is
ever
very
again,
interested in the topic, I can tell. He said,
why
Derek
don't
has said his piece, and he's done with it. All right.
Anyways,
why don't we end this very entertaining and hilarious show?
No, sometimes we can talk about serious topics, and it was a good discussion. All right. So speaking of Gillette,
All
right, here we go. The best a man can get, or the best a man can be. Ooh. Okay. Speaking of, there's a burp to get us out of that segment. There's some football games this weekend. We're going to do real quick picks. These games have already happened, obviously. This is so dumb. We got to stop doing this. Well, the good news is when the Super Bowl comes around, we can do it before the Super Bowl. That's the good thing.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to tell you who we think is going to win the games that already happened on Sunday 5 days ago. All right. So let's start with the Rams at the New Orleans Saints. That's the Sunday game at 2:05 p.m., which you guys have already seen. You already know the scores. Bob, who you got?
I've got the Saints winning it.
Okay, what's the score?
No doubt. Score's going to be 27-17.
27-17 for Bob, and he's got the Saints. Derek, who you got?
I got New Orleans. I think it's going to be 42-35.
Bob, did you say the Saints or the Rams?
I said the Saints.
Oh, okay. So you said Saints. Derek says Saints. And what did you say the score was, Derek?
42-35.
42-35.
If you're writing it down, I'm not writing it down then.
I am. I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to help you out here, Bob. And
well, I was good. I went to go post it last weekend. I wanted to, but I was
sick.
Kind of
ill. You were very sick. Okay, I'm saying New Orleans Saints as well. I'm saying 27-24. That's Scott's pick. All right, and then the other game, very excited about this one actually. New England at Kansas City Chiefs. Derek, that game's at 5:40 on Sunday. Who you got?
I have the Chiefs, and I think it's going to be 35-31.
35-31. Dude, interesting. After what I wrote down, very interesting. Bob?
Everything in me says KC, so I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
Because my picks have been terrible.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with New England and Tom Brady. Score's going to be 36-32.
Ooh, that's an interesting score. And I said New England, 35-31. I did Derek's score, but I flipped the team.
Wow.
So there you go. All right. Well, that's going to be interesting. So it looks like all of us think the Saints are getting in. So it would be the Saints versus, if Bob and I are correct, it'd be the Patriots, which would be great. I would love that. That'd be a great game.
Two veteran quarterbacks going head to head.
Everybody wants the Rams in Kansas City or New Orleans in Kansas City, though. That's what everybody wants to see.
New Orleans and Kansas City would be great. And the reason you say that is because you've got new school versus old school. And I think it would be a huge, awesome matchup. I mean, it really would. And
that dude, Mahomes, went to the same high school as Drew Brees.
Yeah, best young quarterback in the NFL, breaking records already.
I know.
Going against Brees. I mean, come on, man. It'd be
and
super
Drew Brees
exciting.
is like considered like the old man. I mean,
he is
40.
considered the old man.
Although Brady's 42?
Yeah, 41, 42, yeah.
Yeah. Dude.
Brees is considered the old man, but
I can't help it. Tom Brady's just freaking amazing, man.
He is amazing. You watch almost every single game he plays,
They
amazing.
Just literally, like, I actually thought Derek was going to get us on that Chargers game. Because I think you and I, did you pick the Chargers also, Bob? I can't remember.
I did.
Derek seemed really, really certain the Chargers were going to whip butt. And I was like, man, you just can't count out Tom. And they walloped him in the first half.
I picked the Patriots.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Wait, hold on.
I thought I picked
I got
the
it right
Patriots.
here. Derek picked Chargers 28-27.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
You seemed so sure of yourself on the Chargers, and I was like, man, you can't count out Tom Brady.
I was wavering.
Tom Brady, dude. Bill Belichick, Tom Brady. You cannot count those guys out. All right. So we're wrapping it up. Hey, did I say go to Numa Coffee after we had that deep discussion? Go to NumaCoffee.com, PNEUMA, coffee.com. Did you guys hear on Thursday, actually, last week, Mark Ensby started to make a song for Numa Coffee? Or it might have been this week. And I was like, dude, you're taking Derek's job. And it was not too bad. It's not as good as Derek's other one that we had, but the Numa Coffee, it's interesting. All right, NumaCoffee.com. Use the coupon code HWT. Get yourself 20% off that coffee. It's really good. Please just try it.
It is.
It's really good. All right. Until next week, have a great weekend. Enjoy the Pro Bowl on Sunday. Oh, that is the dumbest game. Oh, so stupid. There's no reason to watch the Pro Bowl. But pretend that it's a great thing. And we'll talk to you soon. Have a great weekend.